Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our board meeting this evening. Let's see here, Tuesday, September 9th of 2025. Hope everyone's doing well. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. First thing on the agenda, we'd like to do our Pledge of Allegiance and our moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First thing on the agenda, I'd like to approve the agenda as presented this evening. I can get a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve our agenda. The agenda dated 9/2. Which was the original meeting date, but of course would be not September the 9th. I approve the minutes as presented to us.
I'll second.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right. One adjustment I would like to amend to that as well too is to add personnel at the end for executive session. All right, any other further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next thing on the agenda is any public comments?
No.
No, thank you for that. Next thing on the agenda here is approval of CEO report, as presented this evening. You all do have a copy of that. If you guys want to take a few minutes here, then I'll call a motion to approve that.
Ryan, it's approval of the minutes.
Oh, that's right, yes, yeah. Don't want to forget about those.
All right, first thing first, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and approve the meeting minutes as presented for our last meeting. I can get a motion to approve those.
Make a motion to approve the board minutes from the July 8th, 2025 board meeting.
I'll second them.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is the CEO report as presented. You guys can take a few minutes to look over that, and then I'll call for a motion for that.
Is that our new business manager?
All right, and I need a motion to approve the CEO report as presented this evening.
Make a motion to approve the CEO report as presented.
We have a motion.
I'll second it.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Well, let's see. I noticed, this is the first look I've had at our enrollment. I was hoping it would have an 8 in front of it, but it's pretty close to what our projections were. Now, I noticed that we have 85 enrolled in virtual. The heaviest weighting, as is typical, I believe, is starting with the 10th grade through the 12th grade. Do we think that there's going to be any changes to that lineup
Yeah.
throughout the rest of the year?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
There'll always be changes.
There'll always be changes. You guys will be receiving a presentation. Scotty, are you October or November?
So I wrote down an email to ask you because I don't remember what month.
Okay, so either in October or November, APA Online will be here and Scotty won't. Hang on, I got this.
One of those 2 months.
If you were looking boardable, I actually have already started the agendas for each meeting and I put who
Okay,
the
so
spotlight is. So,
Okay.
1 second.
I think Brielle picked October, so he was November.
Oh, no, Scotty, you're October. So in November,
Okay.
yeah, in November, Zach Morrison will be here to present on APA Online as well as new proposed policies, as far as admittance remaining in the program, those things. So we'll always see fluctuations with the programming, but this will probably be less, keep that number a little more steady, but you never know.
Okay.
Hey, you're October, Scotty. I'm not replying to you.
I have no clue.
George, you'll be pleased to see again that heavy weighting down towards the end there, so.
Is that their first name?
Yep.
That is their first name?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Lots of new hires. Yes.
Yeah,
The
we've
launch
got,
pad.
we've got our launch pad there. When we get done, I'm going to mandate that we all go on a quick field trip across the hall to see the room.
Oh, okay, very good.
Yeah, we seen it when it was just painted.
Yeah, the first phase is here right now, so we've got 4 littles, our founding 4.
We have a typo on Broa.
What?
Brianna, I think, isn't it, Brown?
Oh, you're right. Thank you.
I thought maybe Brielle Rude got married again and was now discipline office
No,
manager.
So
I think
this
our-
person transferred, or did they quit, or did they do both? Did they
Both.
transfer then quit?
Yep.
So transferred then quit.
Yes, they've got some things going on.
Okay.
Thank you, I will fix that.
Are we painting the bleachers?
Yes, they need refreshed,
Mm.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, the goal is to, obviously, we like kind of how they are right now, right? Sherwin-Williams is gonna come over and tell me what products would be better for us to use. And the goal is to keep it pretty much same color scheme, right, same pattern, but update it. It's held up very well for, how long it's been on there. But then also to add some of that shark grit into like the
yeah.
stairs into the platforms.
That would be good, because the
Is-
stairs can be a little scary.
Is that
Yeah.
the
Wet.
bleachers in, like, the basketball, inside the
No, the
gym or
football.
outside, the
The
football
outside,
field?
yeah, the
Okay.
center section.
Okay.
And then future project, probably this summer, some of the bleachers that are on like the south side will be removed. So,
Completely removed?
yeah.
Can I ask, it might be a question better for Lisa though, is your daughter still working on doing a project out there, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's still working on fundraising, and we're not having much success. Everything we've done
Okay.
has not been successful.
So there'll still be changes coming to the underneath the
We're
bleacher,
hoping.
around the bleacher area?
We're still
Okay.
hoping.
Hoping, okay.
So I may have her piggyback and talk to you regarding some of that.
Okay. Yeah, and so one of the ideas, and we've not, I guess this is a public meeting, so I guess I am publicly announcing it, but looking at like September 28th as a service Saturday. And so that's our homecoming week, and so to kick it off, you know, here's a community service opportunity, not only for our students and families, but, you know, maybe bring in some of the experts from the community to come in and do that. And the idea would be to do that kind of quarterly. That'll help our kids get their hours, but also help us with that community engagement and that part too, so.
Would this be a good time perhaps to introduce our new business manager? We were thinking Kim was on board till December, but she's gone now.
Sure, I can throw that in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so, that's Linda.
I
Hey,
just
Linda.
met her briefly there a minute ago,
Listen, Linda.
We're introducing you.
I'm introducing you. Yeah, her, yeah. So, everybody, this is Linda Whitaker. She has been with us for 4 years, and she's been part of the business office and really our attendance officer. And so she's been being cross-trained over the last couple of years in some different areas, and so she is now Kim replacing her. And that was something, so Kim told me end of April, back in early May, when we were still in that budget season, that she was going to retire sometime between August and December.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, that's
sometime
what
there,
the
because she'd be
December-
eligible. Her husband retired early July, and so she gave me about a month's notice, I think, that like right before school started, about, hey, August 29th, that's gonna be my day. So we're making it work. Linda is jumping in head first into everything. She's doing her first payroll right now, which is a beast, so if she seems a little fidgety, it's just learning all that as we go. And we did go down, Linda and I went Friday to Bookkeeping Plus, and so they did an orientation with her to show her the different processes we use and cleared up quite a few things for her, but we still got more to learn, but we're learning together.
I think you're trying to make heads or tails out of my sheet here that I passed out.
Yeah, but, so Linda's a rock star, we really like her. There you go.
Exciting news for the Homeland
Yes.
Security Safety Grant.
Yes, very
Love
excited
that.
about that.
And we're picking up Title III, I noticed, which I think a modest 10,000, but it
Every little bit.
helps,
Yeah,
certainly.
yeah, and.
Now, what is Title, we used to have Title III, and then it's sort of like either they phased it out or we weren't big enough to qualify. What is the nature of Title III now?
Well, it's definitely on the cut list. So Title III is for English language learners, which now we call multilingual learners.
Okay.
So ML. And what has happened in the past, you had to have $10,000 or more in Title III allocation to actually access it yourself. We've not had that. It is a very small per pupil funding. It's about $122 per pupil. And to access that money, we had to join a consortium. They get the money. They don't give us the money, but they provide support, trainings, sometimes some curricular supplies or things like that. But for us, with our multilingual population, that's a lot of kiddos. I think we're 87, I think is what I have in there.
87, okay.
And 3 of those are foreign exchange students. So that does kind of have a different caveat on it. But, you know, our department is over a 6-figure department with not a lot of funding. We do get that state funding, which is also not a lot, usually in that 28 to 33,000
Yeah, it's not much.
range. So it does technically operate like at a pretty significant loss if you're just looking at it from a business perspective. And so being able to at least access, you know, the 10,005 helps offset that sum. And it's unexpected money for us because, you know, we weren't expecting to get Title III because it definitely was cut at the federal level. And so I would say this is probably a one and done, but hey, we will take it because it helps offset a little bit of
Yeah.
that other federal funding change.
Now, it says here on your CEO report, ELL, English Language Learners, about 11.5% of our total population. How is that how does that compare to prior years? Are we picking up, is that population growing? Is it pretty much flat?
Right now, it's about the same as it was last year.
Okay.
We were seeing an increase in that, but we did lose a few families as they have relocated places. And so that number is pretty much holding steady for where we were. I think we're about 1% below where we were when I reported in July, I think.
And I noticed then, when we have talked about this in the past, right now we're around 6%, a little more homeless, self-describing as homeless. Has that just recently appeared, or have we always had that and we maybe just didn't talk about it or notice it much?
So I've included that in my report for a while. And that population, that number has remained pretty steady, but it is growing a little bit. And some of that is, right now, it looks smaller than what I reported in May, but we did have a few graduate. But Angie brings me a new McKinney-Vento form at least weekly, if not a few.
We have a
of them.
family with 7 kids.
Yeah. And so we do see an increase in that. And it is we're part of a sub-grant for McKinney-Vento, which is the federal definition of homelessness. And we're partnered with Alternatives here in Anderson. And we are a partner with Anderson Community Schools on that. And so that is a conference that they send myself and Adam to. And so we are getting better at identifying those students and being able to provide services for them. Something that is new to my CEO report for this year is I've included that foster care line as well.
Oh,
I thought that
yeah.
was new.
Yeah, that is new, and we have probably some increases in that will probably show up on my next report, if not the following, because we have had a few familial changes. But I think it's important for us as we are analyzing our performance, as we're analyzing our enrollment, and some of that fluctuation about the reality of the kiddos and the supports that we do still have to provide. So looking at that, you will notice our the economically disadvantaged number continues to rise.
Is that a record high?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I was afraid it was the case, but
Yeah, it's higher than we've had it.
How do you define that, just out of curiosity?
So for us, it would be formerly the free and reduced lunch rate is typically how they define that.
Well, that'd be most of our kids then, yeah.
Yeah, and then the challenge that we have now with defining that is because we're the CEP program, so community eligibility for the free lunch, all of our kids qualify regardless of their financial status, and so that means we are not really having them fill out the free and reduced forms, and so it's a little bit harder.
You can't get an accurate count.
Right, because there's not really a reason for us to financially ask that.
I doubt if it's gone down, so.
Right, and then the textbook reimbursement form, that's no longer a thing either. And so a lot of that data is pulled from the state, where they also look at who has CBT or TAMP, and they put that classification on the students.
Now, that's currently embedded in our state basic. I think, you explained it to me once, I think it's tied to the complexity formula.
Yes.
Rather than just a dollar amount. Do you think that,
Should we be concerned
Yeah,
with that government computer down there?
Yeah.
What trigger word did I say?
That's why I'm
Okay.
under the desk.
Yes, good call, good call.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think we're okay. What was I gonna say?
The curricular.
Boy, it's easy to throw me off track there, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, do you feel that the state, the way that they're reimbursing us, do you think it's reasonably covering our costs? Do we have reason to be concerned about it? I think
As far as the curriculum goes?
or the textbook reimbursement. It had been running, I think, last year, when it was a separate line item, was about 122,000, I think. We don't know how much it is exactly now from the data we have.
Yeah, we can kind of calculate it. They do have that in there. They may have.
I know I read a lot of articles when they made this decision to switch, that a lot of schools were saying, this is not even coming close to covering our costs, so I just was curious if
So,
we were.
estimate here, spitballing on it. Let's say that they're giving us about 150 per kid. That is pretty close to where they were last year when it was broken out. On average, we spend, depending on the grade level, between $750 and $850 per student just on curricular costs. So, not quite is it covering it, but it is much more funding in this way than we've received in the past. So when we would submit the textbook reimbursement forms, and we had to go through this data part, and they'd give us a calculation, I think that we were getting between 60 and 70,000 max for it. And since we know the history of student fees and timeliness of payments or absence of payments, right? We were having to make up for that just with our state tuition funds or grants or go without. So for us, because of the nature of us and our funding structure, I can't say that I'm over the moon, just wow, this is amazing, but this is pretty great for us. Now, if you look at it where, like an AP course, right, like looking at AP course textbook or the online rental version of it, that is about $150 itself for one class, and our kids have 8. So not a lot, but if you're looking at like a Carmel or a bigger school, they are getting probably less, especially because they cannot charge their families. They have walked that back a little bit. The guidance has been interesting, and so you can charge reasonable amounts, it's not defined, for that, for supplies or related resources. But if it's mandatory for the class, then you can't really charge for it. So PE, I don't think that I can charge our families $15 for their PE uniform because we require it as part of that course. But if I wanted to charge them $20 for copy paper and the consumable papers, we can still charge that. So right now we don't have any charges for our students because we've just been waiting for the state to balance out where they are. They've walked stuff back, they've added it, and at this point, because we've had such an increase with that curricular material part, we're not gonna, charging every student $20 is not going to, generate enough to pass it on to families.
No, we still have our student fees, none at all,
Nope.
only athletic fees.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but as we took, when they first introduced this, we took that policy exactly how it was written, and it was do not charge students. They were calling it
Well, not for
a hidden
textbooks,
tax.
but, I mean, last year, we've always had a line item said student fees,
That is,
about 50,000.
that is for when we get, their band fees, their choir
Oh,
fees, their
okay.
sports fees.
Yeah.
That also has when they bring activity money in, when we have like gate for
Ah,
athletics, and it's a big collection. It's
Okay.
not student textbook fees, curricular fees. It's
Yeah.
all the other things.
Everything else, okay, yeah.
And that would also be like field trips,
Mhm.
those type of things too.
Okay.
I mean, you guys have taken half my presentation, so.
Oh.
Hey, thanks.
Joe, I don't know if this is gonna be part of your presentation or not. Obviously, it's something that I've brought up multiple times, but congratulations on that Homeland grant.
Hey, thank you.
Is that, so at the very beginning, it says, the SRO salaries included in that. Is there, 'cause I know that's also on the wish list, is there a time frame as to when that full-time position is supposed to begin, or
It began July 28th.
does that include any kind of teaching obligations, or straight up?
No, sir.
No teaching.
He's just a straight
Yep.
safety officer now.
Yeah, so, now the grant is not paying for it, but we're using his salary as part of our matching, because
Okay.
this is 100% matching. But with that scheduling challenge that we had right before school started, was able to free up his schedule, redistribute his classes, and make him full-time at SRO. So, he has been full-time for
Is he okay with that?
he loves it.
Okay.
Loves it.
I just wanna make sure that.
Yeah,
He,
and
he may enjoy
He-
teaching more,
he,
so.
he loves them both, but he is really excited about getting, because a lot of the SRO role for us, besides all the heavy duty security part, is the community policing aspect. So getting to mentor kids, getting to pull them in for challenge groups and do some of that proactive intervention part. So he's pumped, but
Yes.
it's been very helpful to have him, and I know you guys know how thorough we are with our school safety part and that part, but we've already taken it to a few next levels. So it's been really great.
So here's a question, just because in other traditional high schools, they're usually hired by other local municipalities. Does he have a vehicle? If not, I know the city, like, they donated a a retired police vehicle to like Ivy Tech.
Oh, I mean, he has a truck.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a school vehicle though. Yeah, I don't know that he, through his actual police powers, I don't know if they provide one or not.
Okay,
But yeah, he just has his truck.
I'll see if I can help on that.
Yeah, nice. Oh, a decked out APA SRO.
Have a big old jet on the side.
Nate is gonna be over the moon on all that, yeah. Yeah, and, one of the, and this was an interesting part for me when they sent the award notification levels, or notification letters, wow, words. They did specify that the SRO has to be armed, and I was very confused by that statement, because I don't understand why you would have law enforcement in your school and not have that. So we are meeting that compliance part, just FYI, guys. But yeah, so it's been great. He does wear various police outfits every day, different styles. He's been here in full uniform. He's been in here in more of that casual polo policing part, but he is fully armed and ready to go throughout the whole thing.
That just seems odd that,
Yeah, it seemed very odd that you would have a school resource officer that is not.
well, unless there's concerns of students taking it from him, but, or from them, not.
Right, but then maybe that person shouldn't.
Exactly.
No comment, right? People do what the people do, but,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Yeah, that
but-
just seems odd.
Yeah, I knew you'd be excited about that, George. I knew it was coming, and I'm like, yes, I gotta tell you, we are full throttle on that.
Now, we still have the, let's say, our traditional safety program, I believe, started when Dr. Greenwood was our chairperson some years ago, so that is in place
Mhm.
still.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We have many safety specialists, which the state requires you to have one per school corporation, not per school building. We have 9 and will have 11 that have gone through the School Safety Specialist Academy and ongoing. And then we also do have our critical response team and some of those other fun things.
Very good.
Didn't we have a meeting about that?
Yeah, Nate
Yeah.
came, I
Yeah.
think we did a executive session
Session.
last
Yeah,
December.
a year or two
Yeah.
ago, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
as we develop more with that, and part of that is part of my presentation today, we will do an updated one with some of the newest additions to it.
Oh, very good. I know some of that is, let's say, kept very confidential,
Yes,
so one has to be careful how we ask that question.
yes. I've gotten really good at providing the correct answers.
Well, we will wait for your presentation, and what's next, Mr. President?
All right, thank you for that. Any further
Have we
discussion?
voted on that? I don't think we voted, did we yet, on the CEO?
You
Yeah.
did the
Yes,
discussion,
we
yeah,
did.
got the
Oh, we
discussion.
did, okay.
Johnson and Fulton.
All righty. Sorry. That means I'm up next, in other words. Okay. it was bound to happen, but we finally, I couldn't get one line on an 8.5 by 11, so our note sheet tonight is on legal size paper. However, I did put a number for each line there in the left margin, so that may help us as we plot our way through this. Now, there's two things, well, there's actually three things we're looking at here in the report tonight. We're taking a look at June, which would be year end for 24-25. And then we're also looking at the month of July, which is the first month in our new fiscal year. And then also we're taking a look at projected year end for our new 25-26 year. So there's quite a bit of information here. So let us proceed. What we might do is, let's jump to the bottom, and we might go ahead and dispatch June and July, and then we'll go back up to the top and take a look at how we did for this last year and how we think we're going to do for the next year. So if you look on lines 17, 18, and 19, we just have some summary information on June. To be quite frank, it was not a very exciting month. And you can see that it was originally budgeted for a very slight cash loss. However, we did actually generate some cash. So we had cash net income of $58,000. And the figure that we'll be talking about a little bit more here is we ended the year at 640, let's round it up and we'll call it $641,000. We'll say more about that when we go back up to the top of the page. And if you want to know what that was, if you use the accrual basis of accounting, which represents the better part of this massive data that we get for our board report, they're showing $134,000 accrual loss. And then under total income and total expense, I just have a little highlight summary there. Slightly higher than budget. We did get I'm going to round up on these numbers, 39,000 from the CSP pre-K. Now that would still be part of our planning program, yeah. And then we did come up with a little higher number, 7,000 some other state Medicare. Usually there's not too much on that line. And then total expense, as we often do, we do come in less than budget. And in fact, every account except one came in under budget for June, which is great. And the one account that didn't was maybe 8,000 or 9,000 over. So not much to say about June. Let's move down to lines 20 through 22, and that is July. Now, July was a big month, although you couldn't tell it from our budget because I think we had our 2 installments of the State Innovation Grant. We had that coming in September, I think, and January. But actually, the first installment in the amount of $588,000 was received during the month of July, which means that's going to be a big cash generating month for us. And in addition, we had about $46,000 come in from title and special ed, and food service reimbursement was about $54,000. Now, those amounts weren't in the budget, so that tells us that probably those were amounts that we were hoping to get in maybe May or June, and they were delayed, but they did come in July. So really, we handily beat July's budget, $340,000 cash net income, and that boosts our ending cash balance to $981,000. Of course, we don't get to keep all of that, but that's pretty good. It's good to have that at any point in time. And then you can see that accrually, on an accrual basis, it was also a very large month. And then looking ahead to August and September, August is projected to be $161,000 loss, which isn't out of the ordinary, because usually the first couple months, August, September, October, sometimes we do run a cash loss, and then pretty much a break even for September. So now we can go back and move up to the top of the page here, and I think we'll try to take each line, kind of work across, and I'll just point out the I guess what I thought looked like something of interest. Line number 1, basic support. Now this year, we are splitting out the basic state support into 3 lines, which I think may actually be more useful for us. But you have your basic state support, which is also your foundation amount, which includes your complexity grant, and then you have special ed and honors. You'll notice that first we see what changes did we have from last board meeting. We had a few, and they were to the positive. And so you will notice then that that also represents our official pre-audit year end. And the good news there is that we only had a cash net income loss of $152,000. Now, we don't usually celebrate losses, but certainly it was better than what we had budgeted, because if you go over to column, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, well, you can see December, the amended budget, I think we passed in December of this last school year. We were calling that about a $457,000 cash loss. So in comparing those two, I think we've done pretty well. And then also, you see I have, as you work your way across the columns, I have a variance figure which compares what our amended budget was versus what our actual year end was. And you will notice that on most of those, on the income, we were below budget. And we also bettered budget for our expense account. In other words, we have a very good track record of controlling our total expenses. And that's important because we know that most of our fluctuation, when we look at actual versus budget, is because of these timing mismatches or delays in receiving our reimbursements. And let's see, ending cash balance, of course, $641,000. Now, if we go down to line 8 and 9, or 8 actually, I call it significant changes. We see why is the cash balance so good? Well, mostly it's good because in May we got the unexpected employee retention credit plus interest in the amount of $282,249. And more than anything else, that is what pushed up that cash balance. And as I said in my pre-meeting report, I think that represents a very good opportunity for us to get back to more in line with what our cash balances used to be before COVID hit. And I gave some figures in that report. And if you take a 5-year average between 2014 and 2018, the average was about 736,000. So we're not there yet, but we're closing in. Now the wild card to that will be line number 9. Number 9 shows that not this year, but as soon as our next fiscal year starts in well, actually it starts in June and then July of 26-27, we've got most of what's in our current debt service payments paying off. And I had some of those figures last month, but I forgot that our short-term computer and bleachers loans were also paying off. So you can see 3 of the 4 mortgage loans will be paying off in July and August of 26, yes, 26. The grand total is $280,000. Now, as I think we mentioned at our last board meeting, the caveat is if we have to turn around and borrow, let's say, a like sum, then that doesn't gain us much, although with a $640,000 cash cushion to keep building on, I think that gives us a good opportunity to get that reserve amount a little bit more in line. I think one year, I believe it was 2012, 2013, we actually had a year ending $900 and some thousand cash balance, and that had nothing to do with COVID relief or anything. Those were the days, I guess, but anyhow, so that's the good news there. Okay, now, what else can we gather from here? As we, on lines 1 through 7, if you go over towards the right, you'll see I've got our current year's budget, but actually we've got 1 month's actual. So we now have 11 months budget, but we have 1 month's actual budget to try to help determine what's our best estimate at where our actual year end will be. And it shows actually about $16,000 cash profit. So we approved a break-even budget, but with any luck, there's no law that says we have to end each year with a break-even budget. It'd be great to add some cash. And one thing that I did, and we won't go into this in detail, but you can consult this, I did include the mix of some of the income items. You'll notice that this last year, federal income and state grant income were pretty close, not including food service. I guess just grant income, 11%, 13%. But if you go over to the mix for this current year, you'll notice a big difference. Now, we got about an 8.6% increase in our basic state support. And of course, some of that was as we talked about, our textbook reimbursement, which before had been a separate line item. So it wasn't just all generosity from the state legislatures. But you'll notice we go from 65% to 71%. And notice the big drop. Federal grant income this last year, we were about a little over 11% of our total income. And this year, we're estimating it to conservatively, I would add, about 7%. And that's about a 40% drop. And somebody really hates Title II because that was about a 44% drop. And that wasn't as, Title I's the biggie. But the dollars for Title II were increasing, I notice, each year. So again, there's a lot of different stats there, and I've tried to highlight and bold, and I've tried to make it easy to read here. So again, if anybody has any questions now or at any time, just feel free to ask. We'll keep moving through it here because I don't want to get bogged down.
Can I ask a question
Sure,
real
go right
quick?
ahead.
So the December 2024 amended budget, the cash net loss of 457,000, and we ended up at June 30th at 151. Are those the December of 24? That's what we thought it would be as of June 30th at the end of the year, or that's what it was at the end of December? And so
let's
we've
see.
changed that much from December to June,
Okay.
or that's what I'm trying to ask. Is that
Yeah,
what we
that's a good
budgeted?
question.
We would be
I
at
can
June?
answer that.
Yeah.
So that was the balance at the end of December, but the projection changes every single month as we do more financial statements, so it's got the new budget in there. It wasn't, if you look back at the December financial statement, then you can see the projection at that point, but on this one, it changes literally every month as we get updated numbers and know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. The last,
And then, just as a side note, real quick, Mike, he mentioned the big drop in federal funds. The big drop is due to the ESSER grant. We no longer have that. That was
True.
COVID. So that's what the big difference is that it's not anything that we did wrong, it's just it's no longer available.
Right.
So I just want to say that as
Really,
well.
total grants now, for the most part, if they're federal, is, and of course, state grants pretty much held the same, if you notice the numbers there. But really, the federal grants pretty much are just the titles and federal special ed. Everything else is gone. Yes, sir, of course, we got 8,000 some, but that was just a, sort of like a carryover from the year before when it actually expired. Now,
The CFP will give us some additional funds, that will help us offset some of those losses.
okay. Isn't it true, the amended budget, and again, I don't wanna get into the accounting weeds here, but, the an amended budget basically takes the budget that the board approved and assumes that we basically just take that and correct it
Right.
as if that had been our original budget if we had known ahead of time what was coming.
Yeah, we just didn't know the
So-
AEM time.
so in a
we had to make
sense,
an adjustment.
That's
were
where we
saying
thought
that,
we
yeah.
would be at the end of the year.
Yeah,
So we did
So
really
really,
well.
that's- yeah,
So we did
December,
really well. Okay.
but I guess in a way, we're pretending, I think, that that's what we thought it would have been, or we
Right.
wish we'd have known that back in May, I think.
Right.
Yeah, that could be confusing, so.
Well, I mean, when there's that big of a variance, it's not uncommon to redo a budget, and so, and you wanna make it realistic, because there's nothing worse than sitting there projecting, looking like we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna come in at a loss and be so far off.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
At that point, you just don't know, and if it's a significant amount, Fall State requires that you redo another one, which is why we've done it, which I
Mhm.
think is very prudent as far as financials, to make sure you're falling in line with what you are projecting, because then you lose sight of what really is happening. I think.
Yes.
So I think it is better to do it.
I
this way.
agree completely. Yeah, we had no choice, but because of the unexpected drop in enrollment. And let's see, that ties into basic support. If you'll notice that even after we amended the budget, because the first ADM count was quite lower than what we thought, we still were 2%, 159,000 below what we thought we would get in December, because that second ADM count in February, we lost, I think, double digits in the teens or something there, so, yeah. Let's see, let me move on then, I don't want to.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh,
interrupt.
no, if anybody has any questions, just jump right in here. Additional metrics, I think we've tracked most of those, that's line 10 through 16. Let's see, sub expense, I think, it looks like we may be a little optimistic here for the current year. 65,000 when we've been running about 130, but then one has to take into account some years we've had a lot of pregnancy, maternity leaves, and
Yeah, we got another one.
and a lot of people that we had to, like, long-term substitutes, so.
Yeah, and we did previously have we added this position during COVID to have a permanent building sub
Mhm.
at 29th Street and over at the elementary. And then we removed that at 29th Street a couple years ago. Elementary maintained that position until going into this school year, so that's part of that reduction too,
Mhm.
is because that permanent sub is not there as well.
Okay.
But we do have at least one more pregnancy, so that
Oh.
budget's probably shot again too,
Oh,
so
well.
sorry about that.
Well, but.
It's not my fault,
we
actually,
made
it's
it
not
up
mine,
with,
so.
line 11 and 12 there made that up with our health insurance. And if you compare, I have year end, the year ending June of 24. And if you compare, I've got two lines. One is our net health insurance premiums paid. That's after payroll deduction. And it took me 2 or 3 years to convince early management and early board that we were not paying $600,000 a year in health insurance, because they were quoting the gross amount. And they said, well, that's what the bill says that we get, and we pay it. And I think, I don't know, I think they left was when we finally got got over that hurdle. But anyhow, it's the net after payroll reduction. But also, when you look at total health expense cost, you do have to include like TPA fees, since we're in the health marketplace, and then we did have that net allied, the prior carrier, we had to cover them for a possible cost. So if you compare, this last year was $382,000, and the year before would have been $624,000. And then again, premiums, that's a 25% drop. Again, it's a lot of numbers here, but I think you can see that we made the right, Jill made the right move in switching over to our health care, because we've saved some significant bucks. And you'll notice if you look over to the 25-26 budget, looks like we're increasing those about 21 and 26%, which 20% seems to be the magic number for everybody, I think, in terms of increases. I did throw in two other items, special ed salary costs and special ed service costs, outside professional services. And I think we're, right now, we're looking at about 23% of our total population is special needs. I think the all-time high was about 2 or 3 years ago at 26%. Seems like last year or two we got down to maybe 20. But I don't know if there's anything you can read into the cost from a year ago, this year versus budget. You will notice that where we have an increase in our special ed cost, it's the outside services. And wouldn't that be related to the number of severe cases, maybe?
It depends, and I'll present more about that during my presentation.
Oh, okay.
But we have to outsource our school psych. We have to outsource when we do deaf and hard of hearing services, speech language pathology as well, and we have brought in our own OT. So there's been a little bit of a shift there, but most of it is even just for our general special education, besides those more severe cases, just to be able to provide those services.
Okay, and then I throw in just total employee compensation. That's the fringes, salaries, payments, whatever. And actually, we've been pretty flat, pretty consistent. So again, there may be some wisdom that one can derive from comparing these years, but that's, oh, and then our favorite 16, we've already established that we did not meet our debt service coverage ratio, which is an accrual measure. Your indicator report showed it as 0.72 times. In other words, that's, let's say the eligible, it's a fraction, a ratio. The is it the numerator that's on the top?
Hey,
Yeah.
math guy.
Numerator's on, okay, okay. The numerator basically is, let's say, the cash available to pay our principal and interest, our mortgage bills, our mortgage loan bills and all that. And the bottom line then is actually those loans that we gotta pay back every month. So you sort of get the idea. One-on-one means that you have just enough cash to cover your debt. And if you you want a higher number, the bank wants 1.25, so we'll have to file for a variance after audit. But if you're down below 1, bankers don't like that too well, because that means you got more debt and you got cash on hand. So again, rough measure. And that's all I've got here. That was a bit of a mouthful with the year ending and budget and everything, but feel free if there's any questions. Bookkeeping costs, anything else we need to talk about, or?
Well, just to let you know on that ratio, again, a lot of times what we do when we talk with the bank, we look at the 4-year average.
Yeah.
The average was 1.28, so, which is in line because of the way grants fall.
Yep.
And when we get reimbursements, and since we've moved more to reimbursable grants, that creates sometimes a problem. So that's when we talk to the bank, and again, they've been acceptable of that, because we had that same thing last year, and it was actually lower last year. So, and they were okay. So I don't think it'll be a problem. We just need to, again, remind them of that when we talk with them.
Right, yeah, and I know you've done a good job in communicating with the bank to keep them, heads up when we think we're gonna miss something, and, I think you've done a good job in educating them as to, what's the proper ratio to, hold us up to, so anyhow. Now, we did meet the ratio after you did some entry with those accounting mismatches, where we had the money come in one year and spend it the next. Wasn't it about two times for last year after the audit, where originally we thought it was 0.47? I never heard that final number. Yeah, just trivia, but anyhow, that's all I've got.
Yeah, I would say the audited financials, we met our ratio.
That's what I thought. I
Yeah.
just never heard the exact figure. I tried to compute it.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for that. Any other further questions at all? If not, can I get a motion to approve the finance reports as presented this evening, the board treasurer in June and July 2025 finances?
This is George, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion second. Any further discussion?
Who are you?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries. Thank you, Gabe, as always, for your reporting for that. Beth and your team as well, too, from Bookkeeping Plus. We truly appreciate it. And thanks as always.
You guys have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, next thing on the agenda here is Title IX Policy Revision. Jill, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you. All right, so you have in your packet, or the loose part that I gave you, this is a updated Title IX policy. It is more robust than what our previous policy has been. It is in alignment with the current federal regulations regarding Title IX reporting and investigations, as well as the state reporting in there. And we have seen just for a number, we've been using this online reporting form, and what we do here as a school, anytime there is a behavioral issue or an allegation that involves something that could be construed as sexual nature, right? So we'll say a little girl pinching a little boy's rear end or something like that. Our staff reports that. Most of those claims, or most of those reports, are coming from Captain Stottlemyre over there, because our elementary kiddos still are learning body boundaries.
It's not Captain Stottlemyre that's doing the
It,
pinching.
oh, no. Goodness. Hi. That is on our broadcast.
Yeah.
Cut the feed.
Wow.
Well done.
That took a turn.
All right, I'm glad I didn't have a drink right then. Yes, so a lot of those reports do come from the elementary, and once they're received, I assess them to see if it is truly a title, necessary for an actual Title IX investigation, or if that is a body boundary issue. It is nice, and these are all internally reported anyways, it is nice to over-report in those areas instead of under-reporting. And this also helps us identify patterns with the reporting. I use our Qualtrics software for that reporting, and so I can see the trend data. If we have, let's say, a kiddo whose name keeps popping up, different scenarios or whatever, it helps us look for some of those hidden patterns that may require a DCS intervention or a kids talk intervention, or talking through with the family. Of course, they already know when these things happen, but hi, we've noticed an increase in these behaviors, what's going on, or sometimes you can't ask the family that because we may know some more things going on. And so since we've implemented, this, we've had 46 reports, and that is last school year as well as into this school year. And The majority of those have not warranted a further investigation from a Title IX standpoint. Maybe a third of them had already been a DCS report as well. And then some of them have been referral for services, or they have actually been moved into a bullying investigation instead, depending on that quality. And so being able to have that reporting already in place, we know that we are hitting compliance, which, you know, that's a thing, but being better able to serve our kiddos, be better responsive on that. And so basically this just really defines that process, so that we have that in the actual policy, and then puts the definitions in there and make sure that we are, from this standpoint, in compliance with what we are doing. So procedure matches now policy.
I've got a question here, though.
Mhm.
It says that a determination, number 4, a decision maker that's separate from the coordinator and investigator. You're the coordinator, and you're the investigator also, but somebody else then has to make the decision?
It depends. If we were actually going into something that actually warranted, right, I would assess that, and then I would assign the actual true investigator, right? And I would work with them to help make sure that we are in compliance, we're following those procedures, those parts. There are parts where, as I am doing the coordinator part, that I am investigating because I'm trying to determine, does this warrant that
Right.
full
A
throttle
written
part?
determination,
Yeah.
right.
And so what that written determination would be is if we actually had to go through a very robust, comprehensive investigation on this, then I would assign, you know, typically we do this when we're going through an expulsion process or something, it's the principal from the opposite school, so that they are not
Okay.
involved with any of it whatsoever.
And they'll be the one to write the official determination or whatever then. Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of
Okay.
that is, you know, obviously we do a lot of things by committee here, right? And the collaborative part, then even when we do a personnel investigation, then that investigation is handed over and reviewed, so,
Okay.
yes.
Do we have in any given school year a lot of Title IX situations?
Of actual, so within that 40, I think I said 46, we had 3 that warranted further investigation, but not a full investigation. So very rarely do we have that part, or it's a standalone part, right?
Mhm.
Because some of that is a behavioral part, some of that could be within the bullying category as opposed to this part. Now, one of the things that is important to note is there is part of here where it clarifies about, does that impact our learning environment? Because if a young lady, young man is sexually assaulted outside of school, possibly by another APA student, if it's outside of school, it's outside, it wasn't at our event, it wasn't there, and it doesn't impact here, that is more of a law enforcement and DCS
Yeah.
call versus here. For us, when it is impacting this learning environment, that is when we have to go into that full part. Or, you know, if we do have kids that are repeatedly doing things to another child, right? It gets a little sticky with what is bullying and what is specific to that sexual part.
Yeah,
So
could be some overlap there, I imagine, yeah.
there is, and there's a collaborative piece on that where, like I said, I look for patterns, right? Where if we have this kindergartner that is continuously exposing themselves to others, that is in the bathroom trying to show their private parts to others on a repeated basis, that is less of a sexual harassment part and more so as a serious concern either about mental health, personal environment, etc.
Yeah.
Now, if they know better, right? They're in counseling for all of that, and they have sexually maladaptive behaviors or something of that, then we do get into more of that harassment piece. So,
I like that you can trend, that the data allows you to it catches that trend a little bit
Yeah.
to help with stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because of the way we do our bullying investigations. The goal is to get that moved into that Qualtrics as well, to kind of dashboard so you can see that crossover. Because I'm the final reviewer on bullying investigations. Those are conducted at the local building. I pattern recognition where, oh, I've seen this name 5 times on this one. Now I'm seeing their name show up, 3 times within multiple bullying investigations. We got a big problem. So it's helping us be a little more responsive to that and going further into that root cause and why part.
How long does that data maintain? So if you have somebody from the elementary that shows a pattern, then all of a sudden there is no pattern, and then we have a pattern start in high school, like they miss,
Yeah.
will it maintain that will it pick up from the pattern from elementary within that data?
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah, and
Good.
we're required, any of the reports we do, any of those accusations or whatever, we are required to maintain records for 7 years on that. I will say anything that goes into Skyward stays there, has been in there since inception. So, if we've got kiddos, I don't know what the record is, but 7 to 9 times of re-enrollment or whatever, the data just keeps going within Skyward as well. So, we don't lose anything.
That's good.
But, yeah, and that is a concern. We have seen that where we've had a kiddo that we had in elementary. They've done some school hopping, moved out of state, moved back in state. They pop up back with us in high school, and we're still seeing some maladaptive behaviors. But obviously, they're bigger and the behaviors are more intense. We already know. Wait, looking through their kindergarten referrals,
Right.
wow, they were doing a lot of things. So that has, it's a nice feature for us to kind of work through.
Now, will this satisfy, we've said that we needed to do this because we were following the law, but we couldn't necessarily prove that we were doing it. Will this satisfy anyone that comes in and says, okay, so this policy, but you still need this, you still need that? Do you think this is what any, let's say, critic, not just an imaginary critic, would this satisfy them?
Well, the nature of those critics, no, because never, right?
Well, yeah, that's a good
yes.
point.
If they're
too,
going
yeah.
that in depth,
If
yes,
they're that
there's
in
no
depth.
proving.
Should it satisfy the letter of the law and all legal obligations? Yes.
Which we were doing anyhow.
Right, but
Yeah.
again, procedure and policy now
Mhm.
match.
Mhm.
And we did enhance what we were doing through that Title IX part with doing the online form and the tracking, right? Like we've added to it, we've become much more comprehensive and responsive as the push to get this procedure better.
Mhm.
But this has been compared to several policies. I've looked through K through 12 policies as well as university level Title IX policies and procedures. OCR is on here as well, and so it should meet any of the scrutiny, right?
That's
It'll
good.
hold up. But again, policy and procedures are just things on paper. Lawyers and legal beagles love to find
Well,
I
yeah.
didn't dot and I,
They
so
will
it is
nit- yeah,
out of the
right.
thing,
They
right?
will
Job
nitpick
of-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Job security, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, well, they got paid like $500 an hour, they gotta work, so.
Well,
Thank you, Jill, for that. All right, we don't need to vote on that, you just provide an update on that, correct?
It would be great if you guys went ahead and just, voted to
Yeah.
approve the revisions.
Okay. Can I get thank you for that, Jill. Can I get a motion to approve the Title
I'll
IX
make a-
policy
I'll make a-
update as presented this evening?
I'll make a motion that we approve the Title IX policy update as presented.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. That is official for you, Jill. Thank you for that. Next thing is the suicide prevention policy update.
Yes, I'm going to request one more tabling until the October meeting, as some new regulation and guidance has just come out.
Hmm. Federal, state, or?
It's-
State.
I was just say, it keeps
Yeah, and.
changing and popping up more and more and more, and
Right, And for us, with our suicide prevention policy, our administrators are trained in Columbia Protocol. We do have licensed mental health counselors in both buildings. We are doing all of the things. It's just getting the code and legalese to match that policy.
So that's
Thank you.
tabled until next
Yes.
month?
Yeah, that would be great. And, you know, it's so fun. It is never boring right now with all the new guidance and revision and rescinding and anyway. Yeah.
Thank you. So we'll table that. Next thing on the agenda here is under new business is financial accounting signatory update.
Yes, so, hi Linda. Alright, so with the transition in the business office, we do need formal board approval for Linda to be a signatory on our bank accounts, as well as our designated treasurer with the nature of her position. So, I do ask that the board officially approves her in this capacity, please.
Yeah.
She's sitting right there, guys.
Yeah, I will be honored and happy to make that motion that we approve Linda Whitaker, I believe, yeah, Linda Whitaker, to sign, help me out here on,
Be the
Checks,
signer.
be
bank
the
account.
signer on the
The
checking
bank accounts.
accounts, all financial.
Take over the
documents,
treasury
et
of, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
I'm
That'll
glad
be
Angie
updated. Thank you for
polishes
that.
those up for us. That one didn't come out too good.
Hey, Linda can do her job now.
Next thing
Yay!
on the agenda is the APA Spotlight K through 12 presentation. Commander Barker.
Yeah, well, hey guys, it's me again. All right. So, I'm not gonna present.
Well,
My
there's one thing we
PowerPoint
can
literally
do.
is just a list of what I'm talking about, so.
It's up to you. We can either disconnect that, or you can connect to the Zoom with no audio, so it doesn't echo, and then you can present on the Zoom meeting.
Like I said, I'm okay, cause it's more, it's not a read the
just
PowerPoint
bullet
thing,
points.
it's just my bullet points.
Okay.
All right, so, hey everybody, hello, welcome to our presentation, and hi Ryan. For 25-26, this is year 18 of APA, and last year was our it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so last year our theme was prepare to launch, and we knew that part of that was hopeful to, one, preparing for a lot of the new programming that we're doing, but especially the APA Launchpad. So this year, to borrow from the elementary, we went with the theme of all systems check, because we're getting our lives together, a lot of cool things are happening, and then ready to all systems go, and let's go. So that is the theme of our year. Priorities and points of emphasis, and we started off our school year, so we do a full week of back to school PD. A lot of that, day one is the corporation update. I remind them of all of our policies. I give them our yikes list of please do not do these things. And then we talk about where we're going with our strategic plan and what we really need to focus on. One of the things that has carried over from last year, and this should be our priority every year, is doing everything with intention and knowing the actual why. So we have our full mission statement, which is that big long one that is wonderful and truly about what we do. And we have shortened that down with our active mission, where it's, you know, cultivate scholars, instill core values, and do the power leadership. And so everything they're doing in their classrooms, the way they're acting with teachers, specifically staff members, presenting themselves in the hallway, the lessons they've designed, their interactions with kids, they need to be able to tie back to those three core missions. And if not, the question would then be, well, why are we doing it, right? And so one of the biggest things that helps us succeed and helps our kids succeed is if we are consistent. If they know, especially given the amount of trauma and transitions that a lot of our kiddos have in their lives, If they know our adults are going to consistently have these expectations, consistently be this person with them, we can begin to have some breakthroughs, we can start having progress. And so keys to this, doing everything consistently and with fidelity, right? Education, one of the worst parts of my job is how many emails I get, their previous cold calls, right, before email, from curriculum vendors with the next best thing. This new software is going to make everybody be able to read 1,000 times better in 5 minutes. You need to spend $450 grand on this new STEM curriculum that you could buy on Teachers Pay Teachers for $20 or get on open source. And so educators, especially as there are tougher initiatives going on in state, federal, they chase the shiny, right? The next best thing, or, oh wait, we thought this program was gonna go well, our first 3 weeks with it didn't, so scrap it. And so as a school, we're committed to not doing that part, right? Truly, when making big programmatic changes, it takes 3 years with fidelity to actually see results. Year one is you're trying it out and you find a lot of the flaws. Year two, you're like, wow, we're feeling better about that. Now we know how to supplement what we need to do. We've gotten better at it. You're still finding a few more of those flaws. Year three is when you get that full implementation, exactly how you designed it to, and that's where you see most of that progress happen. You'll get some quick wins in year one because that happens, but if you're going to have lasting change for us, truly it's that 3-year period. And so that's what we are kind of sticking with, and we actually, with a lot of our programs, we're hitting year 3 right now. And so with Science of Reading implementation, that's where we're going to be able to see a lot of growth, if the elementary's doing it right. Just looking at you, man. And so that's what we're committed to. Communication and engagement, this has been something that we have improved significantly on, especially over the last 8 years. To the point, I know Brielle presented that families are like, please stop communicating with me, you're communicating too much. You're welcome, thank you. But that engagement, we have found new tools this year that is already having an impact. The pilot is happening at the elementary school, and I'll talk about that in a couple minutes. So excited about that. One of the quotes that we're working through, accountability matters. Standards matter, and the ones we walk by, the ones we ignore, are the ones we accept. And that I'll give credit where credit's due, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne Bass, said that. And as we are looking at some of our non-negotiables, right? Get your shirt tucked in, get your belt on, get your cell phone in your locker turned off. Not only has it been against APA policy since our inception, it is against the state law. Cell phones do not belong in the classroom. Not planned, however, if you look on WTHR, last night there was an article that 1/3 of the youth murders and issues that have happened in Indianapolis since 2018 are attributed to social media. That is a statistical fact, and we know social media, wonderful tool, but also awful, right? And the environment and the impact that it has on a child's development, on their personal value, personal worth, right, has been detrimental. It's actually wiring their brains in the ways that they shouldn't be, and so that is a big deal for us. And so a teacher having a bad day, or like, oh man, you want just put it away later or whatever, right? That's a little chink in the armor. You do it a few more times, all of a sudden, kids are not holding that standard, and it's hard to go backwards, right? You loosen something, you can't put the genie back in the box, or bottle, I guess, on this one. So really emphasizing that, especially at that secondary level. Our littles, yes, they have cell phones, a lot of them do, but that's not as pervasive as it is in that secondary environment. And, you know, from an educator standpoint, as well as, you know, someone of adolescent development, I understand how attached the kids are to their phones. I understand how attached adults are to their phone. Very rarely are any of our adults without their phones, right? But it's what they're doing with the phone that is very disruptive to us. It's a school safety issue, I know. Part of this is what happened in Alec when they were swatted a couple years ago. Because of how many kids and adults and people that were on the cell phone, it jammed the towers. First responders could not communicate in some ways because of the cell phone. And so one of the biggest arguments we hear is, well, you know, in an emergency situation, I want my kid to be able to call. Well, every room, including this boardroom, has a phone in there. If they need to call for an emergency, like they forgot their lunch, they don't need to text from the classroom, right? And do that. If it is a true life-threatening emergency, our kids need to be focused on getting through that. Our adults need to as well, regardless of what it is, right? Angie, a perfect example, giving the SAT a couple weeks ago, she had a kiddo have a seizure mid-SAT. If all the kids had gotten out on their cell phones to do that, right, and oh man, this is happening in my class, there wouldn't have been one of the really cool kids that was in there who already had her CNA who actually was responding and helping the kiddo, theoretically. But it was cool.
Let alone the aspect of putting information out there that is.
Yes, personal or
Yeah,
private in nature.
that your HIPAA violations or
Yes.
what is it here? It's
FERPA.
FERPA.
Yeah.
So that was something where COVID turned us into a HIPAA part too, so now we got both. Yeah. So, all right, emphasis on that with the accountability with our staff members. This start of this school year has been really great in a lot of ways. Very good energy in both buildings, very consistent. It was a hit the ground running kind of year. We've of course had some knuckleheads kids-wise, right? You have that. But it has been handled very well, and by kind of our textbook procedures, do X, Y, Z, we are hitting that mark. So I'm very excited about that direction in both buildings and the consistency. So far so good. Thumbs up on that.
One quick question regarding the cell phones and everything.
Mhm.
And just because my kiddo got in trouble for the watch, she didn't realize that the Apple Watches, the Samsung Watches are part of that too.
Yeah.
Is there a clause in there that specifies those as well?
Yeah.
Okay,
Our
I thought there was, but I wanted to make
Yeah,
sure.
our handbook has that in there about smart devices and things. We do have kids who are permitted to carry or have that. One of the biggest reasons for that is medical, and so I don't know how familiar people are with some of the new technology for type 1 diabetics, where it monitors their glucose. They've got this patch that's embedded into their skin, and so there are a couple exceptions to that, or there is with like a hearing device or something of that nature, but that is very, very rare, where maybe like 2 or 3 kids total of our entire population that would be in that boat. But yeah, any smart device, and that is also included in the state law, smart devices, tablets, computers, unless the school deems it as academically necessary, it is forbidden, so.
And they stay locked in their lockers then, right?
They are supposed to.
Okay.
And turned off. Exceptionally appreciate that if it's turned off so that alarms don't go off in the locker, and then you gotta hunt down where the
I
being
couldn't
is
even
coming
imagine all
from.
of the alarms, if everybody had alarms set, the echoing in the lockers alone.
Yes, I did, when I was in the classroom, I had a kiddo whose locker was right by mine, and or by my door. He helped me with my call duty most days. I swear he set that alarm on his phone on purpose to mess with me, so.
Joe, I remember when I used to have when I first came to the school years ago, teachers used to have the pagers that will let them know when phones were active.
Nice. Yeah. Oh goodness. We got days. Yeah. So, that has, and I am emphasizing that point because we did have kind of an issue,
Mhm.
you know, this week, or
I was
last
gonna say,
week.
I think I saw it on the auxiliary page.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was on the Ox page, and, you know, Captain Williams and Captain Henry are sending out some more guidance and some communication on that. But, you know, when kiddos start to lax or take advantage of it, right, we do have to respond. And so, they're working on that. All right, so financial updates for us from a K-12 perspective. We've had, you skipped my presentation, we do have the new business manager there. Hi again, Linda. Yeah. One of the other things, Dave and I on September 15th will be closing on an extended line of credit and as well as our computer loans. And so it has been 9 months of that. Back in December, you all authorized us to look for the funding and sign and get it done. And part of that with the extended line of credit, that goes specifically to the CSP grant, because having a $2 million grant that is reimbursable, you can't necessarily go out, buy a bus with cash, or, you know, go get financing for the bus, buy the bus, and then wait for the DOE. Like, it's a cash flow issue for us, and so they're extending that to a $500,000 line of credit. So
Yeah.
we've got room.
The traditional one was 75, well, it was 100 and then they reduced it to
Yeah,
75, so
Yeah, so
that's good.
This will be 500,000.
Yeah.
And it does work with, so we are setting up, we did set up now a separate bank account for the launch pad, since it will be, once we get into that
Mhm.
other funding. And so we'll get the reimbursement from the state, transfer it to that account, and it will automatically go back so that we're not having any extra days for loan interest or anything. So excited about that. The bank was very happy to work with us on that. They had some staffing challenges and had gone back and forth, and I finally had to send an email. Hi, I need to talk to you today, because we did have to buy our computers. Thankfully, a lot of weird things happened to us, but thankfully the DOE just said, oh, hey, by the way, here's your innovation money. In the past, they've sent me a form I have to fill out and all that, and then all of a sudden it just landed in the bank account. So that was kind of cool. But we had
Another
to use
reason
some
why
of
that cash balance and or reserve, if you wanna look at it that way, is important. It sure helps tide you over when we have these short-term,
Yeah.
you know, cash
Interesting
crunches,
things.
yeah.
So, but we were able to use that to go ahead and buy the
Very good.
computers, and then now we'll get our funding back.
Mhm.
So we will be on a 3-year term for that. When I did send that email, I ended up getting a response back from their vice president that our banker was no longer with the
Yeah.
bank. Like, oh, then I that would explain part of that then.
Mhm.
And so they worked very quickly to get that done for us. So, looking forward to that, and actually being able to go and get some of that more grant part.
See, Monday 15th, I think, is when they're going to be here.
Yes, sir. I can't remember what time. I'll remind us.
Now,
It's
do
on my
we still have
calendar.
that personal guarantee for Ryan's Lynch is
Ryan's.
perfectly,
Yeah.
all of his
It's all
assets?
tied to
Okay.
Ryan.
Very good.
Yes. Ryan's like, thank you guys.
Sorry, I couldn't
Yes, no
resist
worries.
there.
Yeah, so, with that, the banking business, was very positive. They asked a lot of questions about our operations and everything, and then they're like, oh, great, you're good. So, that goes to that debt service ratio coverage and everything. The bank is very happy with us, and they are also excited about us paying off our mortgages, because they think we wanna get more.
Yeah.
We don't, but thank you.
As long as they don't make us close it on the last day of the fiscal year.
Yeah, I actually, I did wait.
Maybe that's why they fired Brad, or got rid of it, I don't know.
I did wait until July 2nd to send another follow-up, so that there was no, oh yeah, we'll get it done on June 30th again.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing that again. So, got that going for us with the financial part. We're in a good position, right? And I think we did budget a we hit the number around where we need it to be. There is gonna be a little fluctuation up and down, we know that, but we already had some things built in to kind of navigate through that, so excited about that. Programming updates, communication, I hit on that just a little bit earlier. So with Parent Square, one of the issues, it's across the nation, chronic absenteeism. I know that everybody's probably saw the panic post on social media back in July where, you know, starting July 1st, now like excused absences, there's this, and then really that law that came out was about us and our reporting, not about what now the state is considering those things. It's still a local decision. We've not changed our attendance policy, but chronic absenteeism is a huge issue. That is impacting us significantly, and it impacts the learning, years of impact with missing, you know, multiple days. So one of the things to look at, and you know, Stadi will talk about this next month with his presentation with Captain Hornacher as well, looking at our iRead scores. Our iRead scores this year dropped pretty significantly, but it was not entirely surprising for us, right? We've been doing all the interventions. We had several students who had passed early as second graders, but when you dive into those scores, we had 39 test takers. 13 of those kiddos had been with us since kindergarten. Of the 13, and that would mean they were with us for 4 school years, which is, I think, 720 school days. The lowest amount of missed school days of those 13 was 27 days, which, okay, that's fairly good attendance, I guess, but not ideal, because that's 27 days of very foundational learning that was missed.
For
right?
one student?
One student. The highest amount of absences was 117.
Wow.
So to think about a third grader who missed 117 days between kindergarten and third grade, and that is all of the critical programming, right? We, from kindergarten to third grade, we learn to read. Fourth grade, we read to learn, right? That is where that transition happens. Missing 117 days also does not include tardies, leaving early, or they had a bad day and hung out in the nurse's office the whole time, or whatever. So it is hard to get a program with fidelity, throw them into our tutoring, give them to our academic interventionists, the dyslexia specialists, do all of the things if they're not there, right? And there are a lot of reasons kids miss school. Some of that is medical, some of that is familial, especially as you look at the youngers, they're not driving themselves to school. Most of our older kids are not driving themselves to school. Now, I have 5 young ladies that I'm gonna have to have a talk with tomorrow, because when I was coming back from a meeting at 8:30 this morning, they were walking to school, looked really sharp in their uniforms, and then I saw them cross the street and go to Payless. Well, you've already missed first period, basically, and so we'll get to have a chit chat tomorrow about that. So they don't have an excuse of my parents didn't get me to school on time. They just took some extra time, right? But looking at that chronic absenteeism part, what do you do? Part of Linda's job that she is now exiting, and Tiffany's job, is hunting down families about who's been absent, right? Sending the notifications out, following all the state requirements. We have some kids that we have had to refer to the prosecutor's office. We've had to call DCS for educational negligence. We've gone through all of those resources, but it hasn't changed anything. With our Parent Square, which again, piloting with the elementary, it now can send an automatic text to the family. Hey, and I'm gonna use a staff member's kid as an example. Lily was absent today. Basically checking in on that, and they are able to reply and let us know, oh, sorry, she's out sick, or my kid is supposed to be at school. I'm anticipating some of those at the secondary level, because when we phone home, it has been, no, they're at school. Nope, I dropped them off. They didn't make it in the door. Only happens a few times. But being able to have that daily interaction, right, and have it an automated process, we think will help. We already know it will help, right? One of the other things that we are doing are kind of attendance initiatives and tardy initiatives. Noticed at both buildings. Anyway, where they gave the kids an incentive. The elementary kids, they're being bribed with a popsicle. So if collectively they get their tardies down or those things, then they're all gonna get a popsicle. Well, we tried that with the secondary part, right, where said, hey guys, if we can, this was our tardy rate, and a lot of that is they're tardy to class and they've been in the building. This is not the tardy to school.
So like
Henry
my
said
kiddo
nothing.
is like tardy to like a 7th period, and I'm like, that's
Yeah.
in the middle of the day, like.
Yeah, and
why
they
does
have
that happen?
5-minute passing periods. When Stotty was a student here, they were 4 minutes. He could get to class. He's a fast walker anyway, but
I
there's
had a 5-minute passing period at the old Anderson High School. If I can do it, anybody can.
You're a fast walker too. Maybe that's why you are a fast walker. We're gonna put this in the
Fourth
life
floor
skills
annex.
development thing.
4th floor annex.
Oh,
to the
yeah. I was
I was
basement
gonna say
gym.
from
Yep.
the far ends of the school, yeah.
Yeah.
Freshman year.
Yeah, I remember the
I remember
floor
that.
annex.
Well, and when I have had my bear attacks and broken ankle and things like that, I can get from the pit up here well under that time period. So our kids don't have an excuse.
Unless they're stuck in a bathroom or something, but.
Right. Stuck in a bathroom. It does happen. But with that, they gave that challenge out, and obviously, well, honestly, I think some of our secondary could be bribed with a popsicle or a sticker. But a spirit wear day or a dress down day, yes, sirs and ma'ams, they will go straight for it.
Yep.
And so they dangled that carrot. They get to have a dress down day this week as a, hey, you've met and exceeded this goal. Now, the kids are gonna be really sad when that doesn't mean they get to do it weekly, right? But how do we engage and show them the importance of it? When we all show up late to work, right, there's a consequence.
Yep.
Right now, their consequence is lost learning that we can't make up. We can't do it for them. And so part of this is engaging with families, explaining why it's really important, especially at the elementary, right? They're calling, hey, your kiddo's not here. Is everything, they're not calling in a accusatory way. It's, hey, is everything okay? Do you need support? What happened? What can we do? This is actually your kiddo's reading block, so please don't schedule appointments during this time period. It would be much better if you did it after school or other things, right? And we know sometimes that just, you can't help it. But trying to find the root cause of it, at least on that individual level, and then doing interventions. This is part where Nate comes in as well, because we have asked him to go do some home visits already. Linda and I went the first day of school to the probation officer and prosecutor officer meeting for the county. They put that midday on the first day of school. It was great. They do have, there, is it Mitch Carroll? Yeah, so Mitch Carroll is part of that
Yeah.
department. And they will go do positive home visits for us as well, right? To do the check-ins and before going in a punitive way. And so it's something that we're all trying to fix, but it's a nationwide problem. COVID really made that a thing, especially, well, my kid was quarantined for 2 weeks and nothing happened. Did you see your kid's academics? Have you seen kind of a stunt in social development, those things? It did have an impact. So trying, like I said earlier, you can't put the genie back in the bottle a lot, right? Trying to find a new approach to that. So Parent Square, that is a big thing for us. Right now, secondary schedules, we are at the pre-academy doing a 7-period day, here at the academy doing 8-period days. It does seem to be going well so far. It's a little too early to assess academic impact on that, but kids are having their teachers in classes every single day, getting that consistency. One of the problems with the chronic absenteeism and that block schedule would be if you missed Thursday, you're not really gonna have a full class period again until Tuesday. If you're taking a 90-minute AP class on that Thursday, you might as well be 5 hours behind instructionally. And so with this more consistent part, and then as we transition to the programming within the next 2 to 3 years with the shortened quarters and everything, hopefully we are helping mitigate some of those, but hope's not a strategy, and so as the data starts coming in, we'll be going through the analysis on that. Class offerings, we are expanding some of our partnerships to be able to grow those. I had a talk today with Stephanie Moran from Leadership Academy, and one of the class periods that we have added at the secondary level is our success period. It is coded right now as an employability skill class period. We're working on those graduation seals and the Governor's Workforce Development Cabinet's recommendation, all the things that we have to do now, and prepping for that new grad pathway. And so with those classes, they're going to help us do some of our specialized parts, regroup. Some of that definitely is going to be the employability, all of that part, but we're also going to be looking at a peer mentorship class, because that is now a service-based class that can count for graduation pathways, and some kind of out-of-the-box coursework that can be right there. So excited about that. SPED services, and Dave, this will mess up your financials, I'm sorry. I waited until you were done talking about this. So what we have done, we are having challenges getting a SLP, the speech language pathologist. That, if anybody wants to go back to college and get that certification, you will literally make platinum level dollars.
Claire's going for.
Smart
Oh,
woman,
yeah.
smart woman. So we have been using SLP through Kids Count. The services that we were receiving and the price we were paying were not having the impact they should have. We'll go with that. We also, you mentioned the Medicaid reimbursement increase. Because of the special ed services we offer with OT, with the SLP, we can actually bill Medicaid for some of those services. Our person was not putting their things in a timely manner, and so we actually could have had even more of an increase for the services that we're providing, which then helps us provide more services. So we were already trying to look for a change, and we could not find one. We wanted to hire one for ourselves, go have in-house again, and we had asked Kids Count, can we get a different person so maybe we can see if that better serves us. And then they said, no, we don't have anybody else, and then that person also resigned from them. So right now we do have a virtual SLP. It is not ideal. We're doing what we can to make it work, but one of the challenges is if you do the SLP, do it online, one of our TORs or aides has to be in the room to help that, which means they're not able to go service another kiddo during that time period. We're making it work, but like I said, not ideal. So we are still trying to find that. But one of the things that we did to help improve the services we're providing is instead of hiring, as we move some aides out of positions, we hired an additional teacher of record at the elementary. So now at the elementary, where we do have a higher population of higher special needs, we now have 2 teachers of record, which means they're 2 certified teachers in that area. We still have aid support, but they are better trained to handle some of those other behaviors.
Is that something that you could get through the Meridian Health, since they were like coming here? I mean, did they have somebody that could assist with that a little bit, or?
No,
Okay.
and this is the challenge, and especially those in the medical field, I'm sure you have been dealing with this too. Significant shortage in specialists.
Oh, really?
Or they're just spread too thin, right? Because yes, there's a shortage in people that have been able to go get those certifications in that as well. But there is such a higher need now, especially with COVID, some of the developmental delays that have become, because I can't necessarily blame COVID, but if, it quacks and walks like a duck, then it might be a duck. So there's just such a large caseload.
Okay, I wasn't aware.
Yeah, and we're also seeing a increase in like neurodivergency, right? A
Right.
ton of ADHD is being diagnosed very, very early. It used to be a rule of thumb that you're not gonna diagnose a kindergartner
Right.
with ADHD, right? You're going to let them get to that part. Even with autism, they typically are going to not diagnose that until they're 7 years old. They'll go with developmental delay. We are seeing very early, like 2 years old, diagnoses of autism as well. And so it is hard to have enough service providers right now. I'm not saying that they're over-diagnosing, right, like just handing it out like candy. There are just significant developmental changes that we can't totally service, and that is countrywide, nationwide, I'm sure.
I'm assuming Ball State has a program in each one of those specialty areas. That might be somewhere where our charter school office people.
We've barked up that.
You've already
Oh,
tried
yeah.
that. Wow.
Yeah, we have barked up that tree persistently. We're like, hey, when do you have someone graduating? Hi, would they like to come do their internship with us? Come over here, and
What'd
as
you
she
say?
whispers, to be able to get
Because
fully
can't get
there.
enough kids sign up for it apparently to meet the
Wow.
demand, I would guess.
For speech. they
Yeah,
have
wow.
it's a very,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not just a
as
bachelor's. You have to
Lisa's
go
saying,
have a
it's 7
bachelor's
years
and
to get
then
that
7 years.
certification.
Oh, wow.
Have communication
And I
disorders,
will
and then-
say, Ball
If
State,
we're
even
allowed.
for the teacher shortage and addressing the
And that's what
licensure and
Claire's
things,
looking into.
they are to charter school, if you're a Ball State charter school, they are actually paying for some of our transition to teaching programs for staff. So Ball State has been putting their money where their mouth is on some of this too, to try to address the issue. It's just, like I said, it's pretty large scale. So we are working on that. I will say, as of August 4th, we have officially launched the Launchpad. Woohoo! We're very excited about that. We currently have 4 kiddos, so there are founding 4, is what they're calling them. And
I love it.
it's adorable having them here, but it has been incredible to see the impact on those staff members, right?
Oh, good.
Where, especially 2 of our moms are just over the moon, right? Like their entire, like heavy burden they were carrying, right? It's just, whew. One, I mean, I don't know if we've seen the last camera, our lactation room is right there. And so we have a mom who comes down and pumps, gets to go look at her kiddo, make sure everything is great, and then go back to work. And it has just really improved her quality of life, and getting to stay here. So that's been really cool. The other mom also definitely checks in on her kiddo. And
Are
then-
all the moms in this building, located in this building physically or?
Yes, actually, they all
Okay.
are in here. We do have a room open over at 22nd Street, and what we are doing right now with that is the staff member kiddos who, our teachers come to work and their kids actually go to APA Elementary. They actually go with one of our Launchpad assistant teachers before school while the moms, dads are getting ready for class and doing what they need to. And then they take their kiddos, drop them off at their classes when it's time for drop off. And so that's been a great added service there.
Good.
Very excited about the progress of that. Like I said, after the board meeting, I'd love for you guys to hop over to at least see one of the rooms because it's pretty cute. And moving forward, should be able to, I think next month we're going to be sending out interest surveys to the current APA families, because we probably could actually get 2 more classrooms open and operational within this school year and be able to start that part. And then hoping by June we were ready to start
Is
going
that-
that full part.
That's for essentially daycare for families of APA.
Yes, yeah, and so that would be, I've learned so much about infant toddler ratios and ages. I'm a mom, but I'm not a biological mom, and I got my kiddos as teenagers, so it has always been confusing to me when they're like, my kid is 17 months old, or when I'm like,
Right.
carry the 1, how do I,
Right.
how old is your kid? So the
Yeah.
ratios and supervision, how many infants can be in the room with a toddler, et cetera. Thankfully, we have Dusty, who has all of that committed to memory. And so being able to balance that out, service kiddos. We are also, one of the things, it's not specifically the launch pad, but we now are a Ivy Tech work study location, so very excited about that
Nice.
partnership. And one of the first parts of that is we lost our YMCA aftercare because we didn't have enough participants. Part of not having enough participants is the quality of our YMCA care over the last few years. And so now we have an Ivy Tech work study student who can actually help provide some of that daycare option for us after hours, and it's win-win for everybody, and that's, you know, federal work study money, helping that student go through college. And then with the licensure, or the exemption for our licensure that we're going for, we'll be able to have latchkey as well through Launchpad.
Nice.
So,
Mhm.
a lot of cool things coming in that
You had
arena.
excellent newspaper front page coverage, was great.
Yeah.
From reading that article, apparently there is a difference between offering daycare and being a preschool.
Yes.
So what is the difference there?
Methodology, I would say, is the best way, as well as like what you're working towards.
Mhm.
So even in our infant room, right, our teacher, they have lesson plans, they have activities for the day. It's not babysitting.
Mhm.
Truly, they are trying to meet developmental standards. They are following approach. This is beyond Platinum Standard, the Reggio Emilia approach. It's out of Reggio, Italy, and it is top notch, right? And everything in a classroom, everything in a daycare, that environment, there's 3 teachers in the room, right? The first one is the actual teacher. The second one is the kiddo and his peers, or her peers. The third one is the actual learning environment. So everything in that room is strategically placed to help with some developmental part. And as the kids change their preferences as they learn, that room, literally, the environment is moving. Every week I go in there, something is in a different place. And it's not just because, you know, they're like, oh, I'm trying to see if this is the good fit for it, right? They are developing that room with the kiddo. The kiddo is helping develop that, and they're under a year old. So it's a really cool approach. But for us, the way that I would explain it, at least as a K-12 educator, is the structure of the programming, right? It's not just child care, it is early learning. And then preschool and pre-K are pretty much interchangeable terms. So you'll see some schools say they have pre-K 3, pre-K 4, pre-K 5, which are the age levels, so 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, or 5-year-olds. Or you'll say, we have a preschool program. They're interchangeable. And there are early learning standards at a state level as well as at a national level, just like we have our academic standards. And so they're meeting those.
Now, of course, we have the 2 rooms available now. Eventually, will we still be using any of the 25th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, our goal eventually is we will have 20 rooms in total. So there are 17 at 25th Street.
Oh, okay.
And then there would be 3 here.
Oh,
3 within the other 2 buildings. So
that would be most of 25th Street then,
it would
17
be,
rooms, yeah.
It would fill every room.
Mhm.
That also allows for special services. It would be amazing within, you know, our 5-year plan to be able to have like a Head Start program in there as well. So we got big dreams.
Sounds good.
Big
Maybe
dreams,
my
but
grandbaby can go there.
it's possible. Yeah. It's very exciting. Our families have been excited about the possibility of it, and the community is as well. So looking forward to it. That grant has been a godsend for us, and now having that funding, the startup funding, basically to get what we need and get it going, we're going to be pretty set. So I'm sure there will be some challenges, as there always are, and our buildings can be a little creative and cranky sometimes. So I'm sure there's some hidden things that we got to navigate, but we'll get through it. All right, safety updates. So you guys stole most of this part of the presentation, which you're like, thank goodness, because you talk a lot. So hey, we got the SSG G grant, 3 S's. And we did get to move Nate to full-time SRO, and that has been incredible for us already. And then something that I had included originally, I think in my July CEO report, the Stop It software. We're getting ready to have that start up in 2 weeks. It's an anonymous reporting site, and it has two-way communication in there. So if a kiddo is having a mental health issue, if a kiddo is being bullied, if a kiddo is going through who knows what, no matter what time it is, there's a crisis center that's monitoring it, and they're going to be able to give us heads up on some major issues. They're able to refer that kid to a crisis counselor. Let's say at 1 a.m. they text this thing saying, I don't want to come to school tomorrow, I don't want to wake up tomorrow, I don't want to live tomorrow, or whatever. There's actually a crisis response team, not APAs, that is truly equipped to navigate that there.
So the kid would have to call someone, right?
They can call, they can text, they can email, there'll be a bookmark on their computer. One of the challenges that we have had as a school is that we've been monitoring that ourselves. So looking at our Securely software, we have had this. I was at a Colts game on a Sunday. Our IT director reached out to myself, Mr. Williams, and CJ Miller at the time. Hey, we just had a kid researching how to hang myself on their school device on a Sunday. And so we were able to coordinate. I'm calling APD on the non-emergency, right? Hey, I need you to do welfare check at this home. And I'm sitting watching the Colts. That was actually Anthony Richardson's first game. So, one of the few he got to play.
Yeah, first and last.
Yeah, he was really great in it though. And got APD to the home. Now, one of the challenges we had is that kid said, oh no, I'm fine, it was for my psychology class. He didn't have psychology, he was not taking a psych class. A liar, right?
Yeah.
Which, and so when APD, he's like, oh no guys, you overreaction, that was for his class. It was easy to say, that's not on his schedule, please go back and redo that welfare check.
Yeah.
So with a service like this, it's an actual mental health counselor who is trained to ask the questions, right? Not that APD is not trained in some of those, but they also have 5 million other responsibilities too. So excited about Stop It. And then the last part to update you on is our charter renewal. So with charter renewal, I know we talked about this in July. We already have submitted our letter of intent. Ryan, myself, and the leadership team met last week with Ball State to go through the charter application process. A lot of data points they want to hear, and our responses on programming, some policy updates. And so with that timeline, the October 1st deadline is our first submission of the actual application. We can update our application or amend that application for 6 months within that period. So there are parts where, this policy is under revision right now. So if the suicide prevention, if that was on the list, I would just mark this policy is updated, and then once it is, we'll submit it. With that process, they will come on site and do a visit similar to what they did with the midterm review. During our meeting, we looked at the week of November 10th. It would be a really great week for us to have them. Given all environmental things, there's actually no testing on that week whatsoever, which that is a unicorn week, and kind of has a nice buffer between the two breaks, fall break and Thanksgiving break. So that is our goal. They had originally talked about maybe 2 days. I think we're at 3.5 days. We think might actually give them the robust approach to what APA is, because we are one of their larger charter schools. We are also very distinctively different in each entity that we have. And so during the midterm review, I don't feel, and our team doesn't feel, that they got a well-rounded view of what we actually do. And since this one matters, we really want them to see all the good stuff. So they'll come, they'll do their visit, they are going to observe a board meeting. There happens to be a board meeting during that week. I don't know if they are actually going to come.
I think it's currently on my calendar for the 4th, but Tuesday, the 11th is during that week of the 10th, so
Okay, I don't know which
I
one it
don't,
is
but
on
I
there.
don't know, but
But they also have done them on, like, they've observed us online, they like watching our videos and everything. So they will somehow observe us again. They also have added a new feature to the charter renewal process, which seems pretty cool, of an actual community meeting where we can have our community partners come in, some of our family members come in, and talk about the school's impact in the community. Not necessarily the test scores, not necessarily the dollar signs, not necessarily you guys, even though, you know, they give you gold stars, right, for governance. But what difference does APA make in Anderson? And so that is a really good time for them to see an authentic view of who we serve and how we serve. And so excited about that aspect. It will be at some point during their visit here, we think, but don't have much more detail on that. They said it's about an hour long, like, that's not gonna work for people either, but they will give them a chance if they wanna fill out a card and provide more information or things, so. Timeline on that, they will do the official approval, and extension. Could be 3 years, could be 5 years, could be 7. They're still not going up to that 15 that the state authorized a few years ago. And they'll notify by March 1st. And then from March 1st till, I think, June 1st, somewhere in there, we go through the big contract phase, which really is just, here, submit this other policy, submit this, sign this, go back and forth. So that is the charter renewal process. I know you will be sad, but that is actually the end of my presentation for our K-12 updates. The secondary will update you in December. Zach will be online on November, and then Sadi will provide elementary update in October. Those will have more of kind of the academic data in there as well. With the charter renewal process, I will be reaching out to you guys within the next 3 weeks to show you, hey, here's where we're at, and you'll be, there are some parts where the board will collaborate with Ryan to answer some of the questions as well. So, any questions?
Didn't you have you and Ryan, you invited to visit something similar to our Civil Air Patrol, some school that Dr. Garwood was wanting to take you to?
Yes, she wants us to go to Michigan. It's more of an aviation school than it is with that military component.
Oh,
But they do have some aviation programming. Ryan is familiar with some of the people, I believe, that work there or started it, if I'm remembering correctly. So that is always interesting. Jamie Garwood from Ball State is very interested in helping us expand our aviation instruction possibility and to explore that avenue.
It's not so much that they don't like the Civil Air Patrol program?
Oh, no, this
Okay.
is hey, there's this really cool program, can we go check it out together? We think it could enhance what you guys do.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Just get us some, getting us connected with that school and just seeing what they do up there, how they run their program. Of course, they're another charter school, but out of state, and just see maybe if we have some synergy aligned and some things that we can utilize there.
Yeah. Well, kids, I think of all ages, certainly are attracted to anything going on in the air, so the drawing card.
Yes, indeed, so. All right, anybody else? There you go. There's the large, long presentation of the school year for you. I heard that
Thank you
chuckle,
so much,
Ryan.
Jill, for that. I appreciate that. All right, any other further discussion this evening? Any matters? All right, if not, can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting this evening?
And we have to hop into executive session.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn our regular meeting session and go into executive session.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed. Motion carries. Thank you everyone for attending this evening. We'll call the meeting to end at 8:06. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our next meeting will be held Tuesday, October 7th at 6 p.m. in our APA workroom.